Somewhere out there, right now, someone is Googling whether their lungs can get tired of breathing, and that person votes Onion headlines. If you've ever wondered how close humanity is to being defeated by its own Wi Fi connection, buckle up, because we've barely opened the first tab. 1. Someone actually Googled, "Can I drink bleach to clean my stomach?" And no, this isn't satire, it's Tuesday on the internet. The question reads like a cry for help from someone who looked at a bottle labeled kills 99.9% of germs and thought, well, I'm mostly germs. Let's test that math. The idea that people believe bleach works as a detox says everything about modern health culture. We'll spend hours researching which crystal aligns our chakras, but skip right past the part where it says poison control. Somewhere, a doctor read that search, stared into the void, and thought, maybe AI should replace us. If Darwin had a Wi Fi connection, he'd have shut evolution down for maintenance. 2. A man once searched, "Can I x ray myself with my microwave?" Because apparently, radiation is just a DIY hobby now. Imagine this guy, shirt off, crouched in front of a Samsung, thinking he's about to become the world's cheapest radiologist. The fact that he survived long enough to Google it tells us microwave safety warnings are way too lenient. There's always that moment when stupidity crosses from theoretical to nuclear, and that's this guy pressing popcorn on his spine. Doctors didn't lose faith that day. They lost the will to teach physics ever again. 3. One of my personal favorites. Is it bad if my cat licks my open wound? You can practically hear the thought process. Nature's antiseptic, right? Cats clean themselves, so maybe they can clean me too. Yeah, just ignore the part where cat saliva is a microbial rave party. There's holistic medicine, and then there's I want sepsis, but make it artisanal. The fact that this was a genuine search says we've reached peak internet medicine, where people trust their pets more than penicillin. Somewhere, a doctor saw this and whispered, I went to school for 12 years for this. 4. Someone typed, "Can I get pregnant from swimming in a public pool?" Which means that at least one person believes sperm travel like Olympic athletes through chlorine. You have to appreciate the imagination, picturing a microscopic Michael Phelps doing laps across the deep end. The logic collapses faster than a pool noodle under pressure. But here we are. It's the kind of question that makes health teachers everywhere retire early and start drinking professionally. 5. A real person once Googled, "Can you get fat from sitting next to fat people?" And I wish I were making that up, as if obesity is just airborne now. This is what happens when people read secondhand smoke and think secondhand snacks. The tragic part? Someone out there probably wore a mask to Thanksgiving just in case the gravy was contagious. The only thing spreading here is ignorance, thick, buttery ignorance. 6. Then there's the legend who searched, "Why do I feel sick after 40 shots of espresso?" This is not a medical mystery. This is an obituary in progress. At that point, your blood type isn't caffeine, it's Red Bull concentrate. You don't need WebMD, you need a priest and a defibrillator. If your heart's doing the Macarena inside your chest, congratulations, you've become a small espresso-powered generator. 7. One of humanity's finest moments. Can I use Gorilla Glue as toothpaste? Someone saw a viral hair glue disaster and thought, okay, but what about my molars? That's not dental hygiene. That's industrial suicide. The fact they even asked instead of immediately going viral as the guy whose jaw fused shut shows shocking self-awareness. Imagine your dentist trying to clean a mouth that doubles as a Home Depot aisle. 8. Someone typed, "Can I sell my kidney on eBay?" Like it's a collectible Funko Pop. Organ trafficking, brought to you by the same people who can't figure out how to sell their old iPhone. There's something so beautifully stupid about thinking PayPal handles internal organs. If capitalism were a disease, this would be its final symptom. Somewhere, Jeff Bezos just whispered, "Not yet." 9. The internet gave us, "Can I get Wi-Fi through my brain?" A search that single-handedly proves conspiracy theorists are just failed engineers. The person probably tried holding their phone to their forehead for better signal. I guarantee they thought 5G towers were mind control devices, while actively trying to turn their own head into one. The irony is so thick it could buffer forever. 10. Then came the philosopher who asked, "Can you get addicted to breathing?" That's right. Oxygen dependence, the silent epidemic. The question has all the tragic depth of someone who thinks evolution was a bad habit. Somewhere in that person's mind, there's a terrifying thought. Wait, if I stop, what happens? Doctors reading this realize the true crisis isn't healthcare, it's literacy. 11. Someone genuinely Googled, "If I eat raw pasta, will it grow in my stomach?" And I can only assume they've never met water or logic. The mental image alone, a human garden sprouting fettuccine, deserves its own horror film. The internet has made people so disconnected from reality that they're now afraid of becoming lasagna from the inside. If digestion were a group project, this person didn't show up for class. 12. One search read, "How many bones can I remove and still live?" Because apparently, some people are bored and curious about partial self-deforestation. This isn't a medical question, it's a deleted scene from Saw 12, Curiosity Edition. Imagine a doctor having to type out, "Please do not remove bones. They're all important." Somewhere, an anatomy professor just screamed into the void and retired. 13. A classic. Can I cure depression by standing in the sun for 10 hours straight? Technically, yes, if your goal is to replace emotional burnout with third-degree burns. It's the kind of logic that makes ancient civilizations look like geniuses. The Greeks worshipped the sun. This person tried to microwave their serotonin. Doctors read this and realized vitamin D had gone from supplement to death wish. 14. Then there's the brave soul who searched, "Can I use essential oils instead of vaccines?" Ah, yes, the lavender-scented approach to immunology. Nothing like fighting polio with aromatherapy. It's incredible how people who don't trust decades of medical science will happily trust a blog written by someone named Moonchild Healing Hands. The real essential oil here is the one used to grease the gears of natural selection. 15. One of my absolute favorites. Can I lose weight by sweating in a plastic bag? Somewhere, a person looked at a garbage bag and thought, "This is basically a gym membership." It's a miracle the Darwin Awards haven't rebranded as fitness trophies. The idea that suffocating yourself equals cardio is peak human logic. The only thing melting in that bag is your brain's last active neuron. 16. Someone once asked, "If I drink enough water, can I flush out a virus?" Which is adorable, like thinking your body's a Brita filter with Wi-Fi. Yes, hydration is important, but no amount of Evian will drown COVID. If water cured disease, toddlers would be immortal. This is why doctors have migraines that can't be treated, because stupidity is a renewable resource. 17. And finally, can I get plastic surgery to be taller for a weekend? Weekend. As if there's a try before you buy policy on bone lengthening. The confidence is unmatched. Yes, I'd like to modify my skeleton, but only temporarily. I've got a party Saturday. That's not medicine. That's the Sims on a sugar high. Somewhere, a surgeon's soul left their body and never came back. 18. Someone once searched, "Can I recharge my body by plugging my phone charger into my belly button?" And honestly, it's poetic, a perfect modern myth. Humans used to believe in thunder gods. Now we believe in USB metabolism. The image alone is cinematic. A guy lying on his bed, shirt up, lightning cable dangling, waiting for his soul to hit 100%. He probably tried both ends, just to see which felt more electric. The tragic part is he's not totally wrong. Most people's personalities could use a firmware update. Somewhere, a doctor looked at that search and thought, "If evolution had a customer support line, I'd be on hold forever." 19. Someone asked Google, "If I shave my head, will it make me smarter?" Which tells you immediately, no, it won't. There's this idea that baldness equals wisdom, like if you remove hair, you gain RAM. It's the same logic that makes people microwave their brains with alpha wave YouTube videos. Maybe they just wanted to cosplay as Professor X without the telepathy. But sure, go ahead, shave away. You'll look like a monk who dropped out halfway through enlightenment. Somewhere, a neurologist's eye twitched so hard it reset his Fitbit. 20. A genuine search once read, "Can I cook chicken with hand sanitizer?" And you can tell this was written by someone who thought COVID safety guidelines meant drink and marinate responsibly. Somewhere in the middle of a pandemic, someone stood in their kitchen, raw chicken in one hand, Purell in the other, and thought, "I am Gordon Ramsay now." What did they expect? Lemon fresh salmonella. Every ER nurse knows that smell. The scent of Darwinism sautéing at 350 degrees. 21. Then there's the philosopher who typed, "If I scream into a jar, can I save the sound for later?" This is not a medical question, but it should be studied under psychology and possibly exorcism. The idea of bottling emotions is already unhealthy, but literally bottling your screams? That's performance art. I guarantee this person has a shelf labeled 2018 Breakdown and 2020 Stress Edition. Somewhere, a therapist saw that and just closed their laptop. Humanity doesn't need therapy, it needs a software patch. 22. Someone once Googled, "Can I use toothpaste as deodorant?" And now you can't stop picturing it, can you? Minty fresh pits. Sure, technically it'll mask odor, until your armpits break out like a teenager at prom. This is what happens when personal hygiene turns into freestyle jazz. The kind of person who does this probably brushes their teeth with body wash too. Somewhere, a dermatologist just threw their degree into the ocean and screamed, "You win." 23. One legendary search. Can I take my birth control faster to get unpregnant? The sheer audacity is mesmerizing, like someone looked at biology and said, "No thanks, I'm on a schedule." It's the same logic as microwaving your frozen pizza for 1 minute and being shocked it's still raw in the middle. Science doesn't bend to your calendar, Karen. Somewhere an OB/GYN read that and lost 3 brain cells just to stay emotionally balanced. 24. A user once typed, "Can I donate blood to myself for money?" Which is either a philosophical question or a cry for help from the gig economy. Imagine walking into a clinic like, "Hey, I'd like to sell my own blood to me." It's late-stage capitalism meets horror comedy. The staff wouldn't even be mad, just confused about how to explain economics to someone who's literally running in biological circles. Somewhere, Adam Smith just rolled over in his grave and Venmo'd himself. 25. Someone asked, "If I eat a candle, will it light up my insides?" And that's when I realized half the internet genuinely thinks they're a Christmas ornament. The image is incredible. A person sitting in the dark, swallowing wax like it's Flintstone vitamins, waiting for their chest to start glowing like Iron Man. It's not digestion, it's conceptual art. When the ER nurse finds out why you're there, you're not a patient anymore, you're a legend. 26. A real search. Can I smoke a turkey through my nose? You'd think it's a cooking question, but no. This person thought literally. I don't know what kind of Thanksgiving ritual this was supposed to be, but I'm picturing someone trying to snort poultry like it's the 1970s. There's family traditions, and then there's felony-level confusion. Somewhere, a doctor saw that and just whispered, "We are not winning this war." 27. Someone genuinely asked, "Can I overdose on vitamins if they're natural?" Ah, yes, the ancient belief that natural means harmless. Brought to you by people who've never met arsenic, mercury, or bears. The logic goes something like, if a tree made it, it's fine. Sure, and if lightning made it, go ahead, lick it. Nature doesn't care about your branding. The ER doctor doesn't either. They're just there to pump the kale smoothie out of your bloodstream. 28. Then we have, "Can I drink lava if it's cooled down a little?" Which reads like someone failed geology and decided to challenge God. There's curiosity, and then there's wanting to test how pain feels as a personality trait. I imagine this person staring at a volcano like it's a buffet. "Yeah, I'll take it medium rare." Somewhere, every physics teacher just took a deep breath and opened Indeed to find new careers. 29. A shining gem. Can I eat ice to stay hydrated so I don't need water? Technically, yes, if you're a penguin. This question is what happens when dehydration meets denial. Imagine chewing frozen water and feeling like you've hacked biology. Somewhere, a nurse is explaining for the thousandth time that chewing ice isn't hydration, it's just crunchy disappointment. Humans invented plumbing and still can't figure out how liquids work. 30. Someone once searched, how do I remove a tattoo with sandpaper? And somewhere in that sentence, every dermatologist just felt a cold chill. Yes, technically, it removes the tattoo. It also removes you. It's like performing surgery with a cheese grater. Bold, innovative, and catastrophically stupid. The kind of person who does this probably also irons their skin for smoothness. At least they'll save on laser treatment because they won't have skin left to laser. 31. Another internet classic. Can I eat deodorant to stop sweating from the inside? Just take that in. This is what happens when the phrase antiperspirant gets taken too literally. Some genius decided that if it works on the outside, maybe it's even better internally. That's not problem solving. That's chemical warfare on yourself. Doctors don't even get angry anymore. They just sigh like disappointed parents watching evolution's group project fail again. 32. Someone asked, if I stare at the sun long enough, can I get solar energy? I love the optimism. It's like trying to charge your brain like a Tesla. No, you won't get solar power. You'll get front row seats to permanent blindness. This is the same species that figured out nuclear fusion and then immediately asked if sunglasses were optional. The real renewable resource here isn't energy, it's idiocy. 33. A user once Googled, can I put a band-aid on my soul? And okay, that one's accidentally poetic. The kind of thing you'd see on an Etsy mug next to a half-burned candle called emotional support cinnamon. I'd almost respect it if I didn't know it came from someone who probably also searched how to emotionally reset my spine. Somewhere, a therapist smiled sadly and opened a new client folder titled Poetic Disaster 34. And finally, for now, can I use vodka as sunscreen? Because nothing says skin safety like marinating yourself in flammable liquid under direct sunlight. I guarantee this person thought they'd invented an all-inclusive beach hack, protection, party, and perfume. What they actually invented was third-degree hangover. Somewhere, a dermatologist opened TikTok, saw this trend, and started looking into early retirement. The sun didn't kill us. The cocktails did. 35. Someone actually Googled, can I perform CPR on myself? And I wish this were a joke. The image alone is performance art. Someone in their living room, dramatically compressing their own chest like a one-man medical flash mob. It's the kind of question that proves we've completely surrendered to chaos. CPR stands for cardiopulmonary resuscitation, not comedy performed repeatedly. Imagine your heart stopping and your brain going, don't worry, I got this, and then trying to high-five itself back to life. If this person ever does go into cardiac arrest, I hope their phone's autocorrect dials an actual adult. 36. Someone once asked, can I smoke vitamins to get healthy faster? Because apparently, if you can't absorb nutrition, you might as well inhale it. I picture a person lighting up a multivitamin like it's a post-yoga cigarette, whispering, for my immune system. Somewhere, a pharmacist fainted into a shelf of Flintstones gummies. It's a stunning example of 21st century logic, the kind that thinks wellness can be rolled, lit, and puffed out in minty clouds of idiocy. This is what happens when self-care meets combustion. 37. Then there's, can I drink battery acid if I dilute it? This is not a health question. This is a final exam for natural selection. You can tell this person heard electrolytes and thought, ah, yes, electricity soup. Somewhere, a doctor had to Google the same thing just to confirm humanity hadn't actually invented a new flavor of stupid. Dilution might make something less strong, but it doesn't make it a beverage. At this point, we should just start labeling everything not for internal use, including Google. 38. Someone once searched, if I eat enough carrots, will I turn orange forever? Technically, yes, it's called carotid, but the way it was phrased makes me think they weren't worried. They were hoping, like they wanted to become the world's first human traffic cone. There's something magical about aspiring to glow like a sunset instead of, getting therapy. It's the kind of ambition that screams, I peaked at a kid's science fair. Somewhere, Bugs Bunny is filing a restraining order. 39. I saw someone ask, can I clone myself by sneezing on a mirror? And I swear to whatever higher power still tolerates us. They were serious. The logic is beautiful in its simplicity. A spit equals DNA. Mirror equals reflection. Bam, instant twin. It's like a science fair project written by a fever dream. Somewhere, a biologist saw that search and aged 10 years instantly. This is the spiritual sequel to the guy who thought microwaves make x-rays. Humanity's not evolving, it's rebooting in safe mode. 40. A classic. Can I use super glue to reattach a tooth? You can, technically. You can also jump into a volcano for warmth. It's incredible how people see the word bond and think dental surgery is just arts and crafts. Somewhere, a dentist read this while sobbing into his degree. You don't need a medical license to know that Gorilla Glue belongs on broken furniture, not molars. But sure, fix your smile with industrial adhesive. It'll hold up right until your next cup of coffee melts your jaw shut. 41. Someone searched, can I replace my blood with Gatorade? And the worst part? They wrote it like it was a serious medical inquiry. Somewhere, a nutritionist fell off a treadmill. This is what happens when marketing works too well. You start believing electrolytes are a personality. Imagine your veins glowing neon blue like you're sponsored by a sports drink. Congratulations, you're hydrated, caffeinated, and dead. 42. Someone once Googled, if I swallow magnets, will I get magnetic powers? And that, my friends, is how superhero movies have ruined a generation. The only power you'll get is attracting metal cutlery to your colon. Somewhere, a surgeon is telling this story at parties, right between the guy who superglued his tooth and the woman who tried to detox with bleach. Spoiler, the only magnetic field you're creating is in the MRI you'll need afterward. 43. A real gem. Can I reset my immune system by unplugging myself for a few hours? The question is poetic, like a wellness influencer trying to merge biology with Wi-Fi troubleshooting. You can tell this person has seen one too many body reboot TikToks. Somewhere, an immunologist read this and whispered, I'm unplugging from humanity. You don't have a USB port, Karen. You have lymph nodes. They don't need software updates. 44. Then there was, can I exercise by watching sports? And for one shining second, I thought, God, I wish. Imagine if cheering at the TV gave you abs. Half of America would be Olympians. Instead, it's just another reminder that wishful thinking burns exactly 0 calories. Somewhere, a cardiologist sighed and Googled, new job, remote, non-human clientele. 45. Someone once typed, can I freeze time by holding my breath? Which is such a beautiful mix of optimism and brain damage. You can almost hear them timing it, gasping for air like a malfunctioning wizard. If holding your breath stops time, every swimmer is immortal. Somewhere, Einstein just woke up in his grave and yelled, that's not how relativity works. 46. One person Googled, can I remove a tattoo by peeling my skin? And at this point, I think people just see DIY and immediately lose brain function. You can almost picture the YouTube tutorial, upbeat music, cheerful voiceover, complete horror show. Somewhere, a plastic surgeon just bought a bigger house because of people like this. 47. Then came, can I clean my ears with a vacuum cleaner? Which, weirdly, isn't even the worst part. The worst part is they tried it. The ER note said attempted suction injury, which is a fancy way of saying Darwin's Roomba struck again. Somewhere, a nurse was holding back laughter while typing, patient claims vacuum was set to low. Yeah, because low suction totally makes it not insane. 48, someone asked, can I make my own blood at home? Because apparently we've moved from DIY crafts to DIY hematology. This person probably watched one vampire movie and thought, I can do that. Somewhere, a hematologist just started drinking during work hours. You don't make blood in your kitchen, you make lawsuits. 49. There was one search that simply said, "Can I become immune to pain if I keep getting hurt on purpose?" Which sounds like the world's worst motivational poster. Pain tolerance isn't XP points. You don't level up from concussions. Somewhere, a neurologist quietly deleted their LinkedIn and joined a monastery. This isn't resilience, it's brain damage with a side of optimism. 50. Then came the masterpiece. If I jump off something tall and land on my feet, will I evolve faster? At this point, I think the human species is trying to speedrun extinction. You can tell this was written by someone who thinks natural selection is a sport. Somewhere, Darwin just stood up, slow clapped, and said, "Finally, they get it." 51. And the grand finale, someone typed, "How do I delete my lungs and start over?" No metaphor, no sarcasm, just raw, unfiltered confusion. It's the perfect summary of everything wrong with the internet. People treating biology like an app they can uninstall when it gets buggy. Somewhere, a doctor stared at that search and whispered, "We're done." Because after bleach cocktails, DIY surgery, and lung resets, one truth remains. Humanity doesn't need medicine, it needs tech support. And there it is. Proof that humanity's greatest threat isn't disease, it's Wi-Fi with a search bar. We've officially turned Google into a confessional booth for the terminally confused. So tell me, which one broke your faith in civilization the most? Drop your vote for the dumbest below, or your own cursed search if you're brave enough. Hit like, subscribe, and brace yourself, because trust me, the next batch of stupidity is already loading.